The call that changed everything. No drama, no authorities. But everything changed the moment my phone rang. We've received a report that a minor may be in danger at your property. A minor? I repeated. There was a pause on the line. Sir, a teenage girl. Across the room, my daughter looked up at me. Confused. Very wrong. A self-appointed HOA president had decided to turn a peaceful family, and she had no idea how badly this would backfire. It had been in our family for years, longer than the HOA. No rules, no power-hungry committees. My daughter loved this place. Whenever school stress got heavy, this is where she wanted to be, except someone was watching. The one who stares too long at other people's driveways. In our community, her name was Diane. She didn't just enforce rules. Power gave her purpose. Some feared her. We had mostly stayed off her radar until that day. She watched my daughter carry bags inside, and instead of asking a question like a normal person, by the time the police arrived, 2 patrol cars, lights flashing like we were criminals. She claims you are not authorized to be on this property. My daughter's eyes widened. Then the property documents. It was supposed to be a quiet weekend. No arguments, just a father, his teenage daughter, and a small lake cabin filled with memories. Sir, the voice said calmly, almost rehearsed, in danger. My daughter is standing right next to me. I felt the blood drain from my face. What neither of us knew at that moment was that a single woman, known throughout the neighborhood as that Karen, weekend into a full-blown nightmare. The lake cabin wasn't new to us. Longer than most of the houses surrounding it. Dirt roads and silence. No boards, just land, water, and freedom. She called it the quiet house. That weekend we were simply reorganizing the cabin. Nothing unusual. The person who walks around with a clipboard. The one who believes rules matter more than humans. She enjoyed it. People avoided her. Others had already paid fines just to make her go away. From across the road, she watched us unloading boxes. She watched me lock and unlock the cabin door. She made a phone call, a social services vehicle. The officers were polite, but serious. There it was. And that the girl with you may not be your daughter. What? She whispered, then hers. The report states that you are illegally occupying a property and possibly abducting. She could see it in my eyes. Something was wrong. She was the HOA president, at least that's what she liked to remind everyone. My daughter was sitting on the couch, hugging her knees. For a second, my brain refused to process the words. Then the officer spoke again. My parents had bought the land back when it was nothing more than trees. Old boxes, books, a few pieces of furniture she wanted in her room. Sir, one of them said, we received a call from the HOA president. I handed the officer my ID without hesitation. I could see the confusion on their faces growing, because nothing matched the story they were told. The documents were clear. The land predated the HOA. The cabin was legally exempt. Ownership was undisputed. And the girl? Same last name. Birth certificate. School ID. The officer sighed. Sir, this looks like a false report. That's when Diane arrived. Marching. Confident. Smiling. Like someone who believed she had just won. She didn't greet us. She didn't apologize. She walked straight up to the officer and said, I told you, they don't belong here. And that girl, the officer cut her off. Ma'am, we've verified the documents. This is his property, and that is his daughter. Her smile vanished. For the first time, she looked unsure. But instead of backing down, she doubled down. "Well," she snapped, "this cabin violates HOA standards. And I have the authority—" "No, you don't," the officer said firmly. Silence fell over the lake, and that was the moment Diane realized something terrifying. She had pushed too far. What Diane didn't understand was that false accusations aren't just embarrassing. They're illegal. Calling the police on a family, claiming abduction, involving social services. Those aren't HOA tools. Those are weapons. And she had used them recklessly. The officers pulled her aside. My daughter squeezed my hand. "Am I in trouble?" she asked quietly. "No," I said, "but someone else might be." What we didn't know yet was that this incident would uncover years of HOA abuse, illegal fines, harassment of other families, and a pattern of intimidation hidden behind community rules. Diane didn't just target us. We were just the first ones who had proof. And once the truth started coming out, the entire HOA empire she built on fear began to collapse. After the police left, the lake felt different. Quieter, heavier. The water was still, but the air carried tension, the kind that lingers after something ugly has been exposed. My daughter sat on the porch steps, staring at the lake. She hadn't cried. That worried me more than tears. "I didn't know adults could lie like that," she finally said. I didn't know how to answer, because this wasn't just a lie. It was a calculated abuse of power. And the worst part, Diane didn't think she had done anything wrong. Less than an hour later, my phone buzzed. A neighborhood group message. Diane had already posted, "Attention residents. Unauthorized individuals were confronted today. Authorities were involved. Please remain vigilant. Unauthorized individuals." That was us. She didn't mention that the police cleared us. She didn't mention the false accusation. She didn't mention that she was warned. She framed herself as a hero. And for a few minutes it almost worked. Then a message appeared. "That cabin predates the HOA. Everyone knows that." Another followed. "Calling the police over boxes is insane." Then, "She did this to my cousin last year. Find him for a fence that existed before the rules." The floodgates opened. For years people had stayed quiet. Not because Diane was right, but because she was loud, aggressive, and relentless. But now they had witnessed her cross a line. And something changed. That evening, neighbors started knocking on our door. Not to complain, to talk. One couple told us how Diane fined them for hanging laundry visible from the road. An elderly man admitted he paid hundreds in fees just to stop her harassment. A single mother whispered how Diane threatened to report her to child services over noise complaints. Every story carried the same pattern: authority without accountability, rules twisted for control, fear used as a tool. And suddenly our experience wasn't unique. It was evidence. That night my daughter surprised me. "What if we don't let this go?" she asked. I looked at her. She was 16, still a kid, but her eyes were steady. "She tried to get me taken away," she said quietly. "She shouldn't get to do that to anyone else." That was the moment this stopped being about us. It became about everyone. The next day we requested HOA records, budgets, violation logs, meeting minutes. Diane resisted, aggressively. She claimed the records were private. She delayed. She deflected. But the law was clear. HOA records belonged to the members, and once we got them, the truth was worse than we imagined. The documents told a story Diane never expected anyone to read. Fines issued without warnings, rules enforced selectively, fees collected without proper votes, missing funds, no transparency. Even worse, some violations were fabricated. No photos, no dates, no proof, just Diane's word. And for years that had been enough. When Diane realized people were asking questions, her tone changed. She went from confident to defensive, to desperate. She sent mass emails filled with legal threats. She accused residents of harassment. She warned of consequences. But fear no longer worked. People had tasted something stronger. Courage. The next HOA meeting was supposed to be routine. It wasn't. The room was packed. People stood along the walls. Others waited outside. Diane walked in late, clipboard in hand, chin raised, smile forced. She opened the meeting like nothing was wrong. That lasted exactly 2 minutes. Quiet man in the back stood up. I want to know why police were called on a family without evidence. The room went silent. Diane laughed nervously. That's not relevant to HOA business. Another voice. I want to know where the extra $12,000 in fees went last year. Another. Why was I fined for something not in the rules? Diane's face turned red. Her power was slipping, and she knew it. Then my daughter stood up. The room froze. I'm the girl she said was abducted, she said. Every head turned. I was scared, she continued. Not because of my dad, because of her. Her voice didn't shake. You're supposed to protect this community, she said. But you use police like a weapon. There was no applause. Something stronger filled the room. Respect. Someone called for a vote. Diane tried to stop it. She couldn't. The results were overwhelming. She was removed as HOA president immediately. Her clipboard slipped from her hands and hit the floor. No one helped her pick it up. The neighborhood felt lighter after that. Safer. Rules were rewritten. Fees were audited. Trust slowly rebuilt. And Diane? She moved away within 6 months. No farewell. No apology. Just